Zayne. Zayne, welcome to Lioness Moms CHAT. We are so happy you're here with us today. When I spoke with you earlier in the week, I was like, well, why did you want to be what you're doing, a lawyer and all that, and a public defender? And you had a fun story that you shared about what you really wanted to do. So tell us a little bit about how you became a lawyer, number one, and then let's talk about why you did your research on this topic. And then we're going to open up for question and answers, okay?
First, thanks for having me. It's really a privilege for me to talk to y'all about this. All of my clients, the moms are the best. The moms are what makes my life easier, really. And just so y'all know. So I am from San Antonio, Texas. And I became a lawyer because my undergrad degree was in film, and I graduated with that, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life because I have a film degree. So I decided to go to law school. And when I went into law school, the last thing I wanted to do was be in court. I didn't want to do any type of litigation. I wanted to do like contracts and that type of stuff. But after my first year of law school, and I hated all of the classes that were about contracts and like business related transactions, I did an internship with the Regional Public Defender's Office for capital cases. In Texas, they handle capital cases in rural counties for indigent clients. And I realized how important the work was and how much of a difference having an attorney who cares and who actually fights for you makes. And it really unearthed my love of, like challenging status quos and doing so to make improvements in something that is wrong about society or wrong about the justice system. So that's a little bit about my law background. I wrote this comment. It's really just an article. They call it comments. I don't know why, but it's just an article I wrote about estate planning for the incarcerated and why that population is a highly vulnerable population that would really benefit from having these services. And so I was inspired by some of the people that I met as an intern that summer, and their life circumstances, the fact that they are very, very likely going to spend the rest of their lives in prison, and that like their stories, their families inspired me to write this article. So yeah. What was the other follow-up questions you wanted me to answer?
No, I just like it. I thought it was a great story, how you became a lawyer.
Yes.
So let's talk about this. Go ahead and tell us what you know, okay. And we're all ears right now.
I got these switched up, but just again about me, I'm a public defender in Atascosa County, that's South Texas. I have a French bulldog who is my soulmate. That's all that is important about me. So why estate planning? Why would that be something that an incarcerated person or someone facing incarceration needs? First off, it's a common saying among estate planning attorneys and financial advisors, everybody should have some form of estate plan. It avoids going through something called intestate succession. It's basically like when you die, your property has to go through court to be distributed to your relatives and to your heirs. And regardless of the size of your estate, how much money you have in your account, what type of property you have something, you have enough for an estate plan, and it will make the burden on your families lessen when you pass away, because they don't have to go and fight it out in court. And even if it's like you have a car to your name, you have a home or some property somewhere, that is all enough to qualify you for an estate plan. So that's a common misconception about estate planning, is that I don't have enough to put in a will or to give to my family, and that's just not true. You have plenty. Also, it gives control back to incarcerated persons when they are, taken away from their life as it is. It can feel very out of control. They don't know what's going on in the court process. Their attorney isn't giving them information. You're in the dark. You're behind bars in the dark. Even before you are sentenced to any type of prison, as soon as you're arrested, when you're sitting in that jail, you don't know what to expect. And every day is, it brings anxiety for what is to come in the future. And you feel like your livelihood is in the hands of a judge, a prosecutor that already don't have a favorable view of you. Oops. Oh my gosh. Okay. So estate planning services in Texas and most other states, I haven't double checked since I wrote the article, but when I wrote this, there's no estate planning services available to anybody in prison anywhere in the US. And that to me is wild, because they have other services like divorce, family law attorneys. They have like other bankruptcy attorneys. Like they have all these other little niche legal services available, but they don't have estate planning. And for a type of law where everyone says that you should always have a will no matter who you are, but then they don't offer that service, to me, that was a huge problem. Estate planning, if you do it yourself with estate planning, even as an attorney, even as someone who's not, I'm not specialized in estate planning, so I wouldn't write my own will, if that makes sense. You have to be an estate planning attorney with that type of background, with that type of training, to really do it according to the statute, to where you're going to do it correctly, and you're the judge or a court is going to follow your listed distribution. But with inmates, when they're behind bars, they don't have access to legal services unless they can hire an attorney to come and meet with them and draft the will. They have no way of doing this besides DIY methods. And a lot of times Texas allows for handwritten wills. You can write a will on anything. But the problem with that is, that still has to go to court and is easily challenged and easily thrown out, just because it's so highly specific, the area of law. There's certain elements you have to meet. It's really something that an estate planning attorney should be doing. There are some resources available to people for other types of estate planning that I'll talk about, but for wills especially, that's something an estate planning attorney needs to do. Oops, oh my gosh, why do I keep doing that? So the major reason that I think that estate planning should be in prisons everywhere is because it brings dignity back to the inmates and to their families, and it can protect their children or their relatives for generations to come, because by avoiding intestate distribution of your property, you build generational wealth. And in my article, I did a lot of research on that, and there's actually plenty who believe that having a will in place or having some type of distribution plan for your property can fight the effects of mass incarceration, like having a household that is always missing one family member, half of the earning capacity of a two-family household. It can lessen the impact that has on families who are in low income areas, often families of color. It can help them accumulate wealth from from generation to generation. So each child, as it goes down the family tree, they're not losing money because it gets distributed somewhere else, or it gets all caught up in legal fees. So it gets passed down from generation to generation, and that builds on wealth. It's a more complicated issue than what I'm saying now, but I get more in depth on it in my article. It's just something to think about. It's a more broader benefit of estate planning, I think. So there's some types of estate planning that I think are most important. There's a lot of different things that you can do for an estate plan, but these three are really the ones that I think apply most to inmates. They can mostly benefit from. So there's a traditional will, and that's like I was talking about, and avoids your property being distributed how you wouldn't like it to be. You get to pick and choose who gets what and when. And if done correctly, you don't have to go to court for it later on with something called probate. It's a whole different process that is usually messy. It usually has family members against each other, and there are court costs that come with that. And it could take years also. So powers of attorney, that's something that I think every attorney should do, every defense attorney should do with clients that are facing any time. And really, if they're like, before they go to trial, before any of that happens, as soon as they're arrested and they're in jail and they realize they're not going to be able to bond out, they need to give powers of attorney. Because I've talked to many of my clients that have told me, even on misdemeanors, they're sitting there for 15, 30 days. A lot can happen in that 15, 30 days, right? With powers of attorney, you are able to give someone, usually a family member, agency to act as an agent for you to pay your bills, to take care of your home, to make sure you don't default on anything, on car payments, and also to make medical decisions for you in the case that you become incapacitated. And as soon as you are in jail, you're in there for 30 days, you get out on a bond, you lost your job, you lost your apartment, you lost your car has been repoed. I mean, that's just for a misdemeanor. So just imagine the consequences of sitting there for 90 days. It's a huge deal for anybody to be away from their life for that long. And this way, with powers of attorney, your family members can do that, can take care of things for you, and you can get out and not have so much loss. Another hurdle for you to get over after getting out. And different states have different requirements for this, so I don't want to get into that because I could tell you the completely wrong thing that's different from Texas. And then the last one is called a living will. I'm not sure if these are in every state, but I think that they are in the majority. It's the same thing as a normal will, a traditional will, except you don't have to wait until death for your property to distribute. You can have it distribute on the occurrence of a specified event. So getting sentenced to prison could be the event. It's more, I think for inmates, it's more logical, just because they are, even though they're still alive, like they don't have any control over their property as it is. So let's see, I think that covers everything. So this is just my contact information, and I'll send this out. I also have some resources that I can send you guys about doing statutory powers of attorney. That's what I talked about with the agents, this middle one, just because I think that's something that even our office, the public defender's office in Atascosa, started doing this with everybody. And I think that it's an option that everyone should have. So I can make a list of stuff for y'all and have it sent out.
All right. Hey, I'm going to stop recording right now, and we're going to go to some questions that we have for you.
Okay.
And great job,
Oh,
Zayne.